Alright, what's up guys, Azura here, and we are here for a somewhat late deck profile for Dark Regulars. This deck came out back last month on JP, and honestly, I don't think this deck is that particularly good. I think it's like okay at best, but honestly, last month, when I was playing Vanguard season, whenever I ran into this deck with Blade Master, I just went like, wow, easy win. I just going to show you how I think of this deck. I don't think this deck's particularly good, but I think it's perfectly playable. But that being said, I think the Genome of this deck is unnecessarily expensive for how not good it is. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get on with the list. First thing to note here is that I'm recording this part of the video after the 12 card G zone got added. In the video, you'll see me only with the 8 card G zone. I'll just go over what I didn't have in the games first. I didn't have the Harmonics. I didn't have the one copy of the Ericus, and I had one less copy of her, and I had one less Scharhrot. Basically minus one card from minus one of each from the bottom because of this row. Basically, is what the G zone was with the 8 card G zones. Yeah. But without further ado, we'll get on with the list. So first off, the starter is the enigmatic assassin. Soul. So skills in soul. Darkness. So basically, darkness is as long as if you soul charge something during that turn, all these skills become live. Basically, if some cards might ask for and then darkness, and then some cards like this, for example, ask for like 10 or more in soul. That's when you have these skills live or not, basically. So yeah. The starter skill is at the end of battle that something attacked. If you have 10 or more cards in soul, you may call this card out from soul and then give her plus 5k. And then if your soul has 13 or more cards, it gets plus 10. Basically, this card is in multi-attack extender, basically. So you can go like rear, and then this thing will ask you if you want to use it or not. And if you choose to use it, you can call it out from soul somewhere. Usually you call it over the card that already attacks, so you can actually get extra attacks. This card is part of your kill turn, and some worst case scenario, sometimes you just need a booster, you can call that out as well. But just keep in mind that you have no way to put it back into soul afterwards, because this card isn't like the Magia cards in Pale Moon. When they go back into soul, this card stays out on the board. So yeah. And also something to note is that if you have exactly 13 in soul and you use her skill, when she comes out, she doesn't get plus 10 because she herself was part of the 13 to get the plus 10. So you'd have to make sure you have 14 or more soul before using her skill if you want her to get the additional plus 10. And this adds on. So if you call her when you call her, she'll get the 5 for sure, and then if you have 13 more, it gets an additional 10. Meaning this card will be a 20k attacker if you have 13 soul when you call her out. So pretty good starter, pretty nice extender, just overall best starter for this deck in my opinion, because it raises the kill swing of this deck, because you can do some really cool stuff with the Scharhrot start with this card. And next up for the grade 1s, I'm playing 3 of the regular Stride Fodder. So this is just Stride Fodder, but this one searches for Scharhrot. Next up we have the Darkness PG, so its skill is Soul. GB1 Darkness, choose one of your grade 1 or lower rear guards and retire it to add this card from soul to hand. If you soul charge this card, you can suck it back to hand or add it back to hand from soul, which is pretty nice. So you basically have like a pseudo tutorable PG if you shove her in a soul, because it's a lot. Obviously, DI soul charges a lot, and there is one card here that has like semi-selective soul charge. So pretty nice there, definitely better than the CC PG. This deck isn't too CP heavy either. Next up, I'm only playing 2 of the Edge in Darkness. This card's skill is Darkness. If you have 6 or more soul, plus 3k, and then if you have 10 or more soul, this unit gains intercept and can intercept from the back row. This card is actually really good, but I'm only playing 2 of it because I value the consistency of these other cards more. Obviously, 4PG, Stride Fodder, and then I'll go over this after the this grade 1 after. But I personally think that against some matchups, this card is I think this card is very matchup dependent. If the meta is a bunch of retired decks, I think this card definitely comes down because it just gets killed. If this deck is almost all multi-attack decks, you can definitely play more of this card to screw them over. But I think this card, sometimes it stops them, but sometimes it also just feels like it's like a little win harder sometimes. It doesn't actually play towards your game plan of consistency or anything. So that's my biggest issue with this card. But I think this card is definitely worth considering looking into playing more of it. I definitely think these are the 3 prime grade ones you should be playing, and I think the ratios are completely up to you. But these are just the ratios that I'm playing. And finally, the last grade 1 is the Weird Tiger Jaeger. I think it's the name of this card, but its skill is Soul. When this card is put into the Soul other than when you ride. So basically, if you Soul Charge it in any way, you can CB1 to draw 1. So this card's really good for the skill. If you blind Soul Charge it, or if you selective Soul Charge it, you can draw a card for it, which is pretty nice. And then Darkness and Soul. You have 6 or more Soul, you can CB1, discard a card to add this card to hand, and then Soul Charge 1. If you have, actually no, you can CB1. If you have 6 or more, you can CB1, discard a card to soul charge 1. Then, if you have 10 or more in soul, you can add this card back to your hand. So, basically, don't do this skill if you only have 6. Otherwise, you just soul charge 1. You CB1, discard a card to soul charge 1. If you have 10, you can add it back to hand, which is pretty nice, which is because it has a hand effect as well. So its hand skill is that it's stride fodder. So that's pretty good because stride fodder is just having additional stride fodder is very nice for this deck because of the fact that it's just more things, because this deck really wants to hold its excess grade 3s, meaning the chariot. You want to hold these to actually call them out. So having additional grade 1 stride fodder is very nice for this deck in my opinion. So yeah, and just make sure. Alright, it actually has a condition on this, but it's conditioned to be stride fodder that your soul has to have 2 or more cards with their darkness ability, but that might as well not be a condition, because basically everything that's like has darkness, and you will always have a shift fuck ton of soul, so this condition is basically not there, but it's worth to know, I guess, if something happens and you don't have 2 cards in darkness, you can't use a stride fodder, but this card basically just reads stride fodder in hand. Yeah, so that's it for grade 1. Grade 2, we're playing this dude. I don't know these names, but his skill is we'll go over the second skill first, because this is the more relevant skill. On play, check top 7 cards of your deck and choose 1 card with darkness among them and put it into your soul. So your prime target for this is the Were-Tiger Jaeger, because if you find out the top 7 and you add it to soul, you can CB1 to draw 1, so +1 soul, +1 card to hand. And the best thing about this card is that this skill here is completely free. It just, you play it down and you get to use the skill, and it's not locked behind GB either, so you can slam this down as early as turn 2. So very, very good card. And then darkness must return. If you have 6 or more soul, you can CB1 to give +2k. Then you have 10 or more cards in soul, you get an additional 3k. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this card can CB1 turn itself into a soul attacker. Comes up sometimes, not too often, but it's nice that this card can be a soul attacker if you want it to be. So yeah, pretty good card here. I definitely think it's the best grade 2 in the deck by far. Next up, we have this dude. His skill is when something is placed in the same column, this card soul charge 1. Something important to note is that it's Vanguard rear skill, and that if you ride on top of it, it also counts as a card being placed in the same columns. Meaning when you ride on top of it, you also get the additional soul charge 1. So that's pretty nice there. And then GB1 darkness. If you have 10 or more cards in soul, this unit gets boost, and you have 13 or more, it gets an additional 2k. So that's pretty nice there. It can be a slow attacker, it can be an extra booster. And it's also just have to be ideal because you get an extra soul off of it as well. Next up, we're playing one of this girl. I think it's a girl. Yeah, for sure it's a girl. 8k body, which is why I only play one of it. I think this card's actually pretty okay, but 8k body is a really big turnoff for me. But her skill is on play GB1. CB1 to soul charge 2 if you have 6 or more cards in soul. Draw 1 if you have 10 or more. CC1 as well. So pretty nice there. She fill soul, gets you a draw, and then if you have enough, you can unflip as well. So pretty nice there. And finally, we're playing for Gwyn the Rippers. So his skill is on play CB2 or retire grade 2 or lower. So it's literally Berserk Dragon. But we play this dude because sometimes you just need to retire a pass intercepts to poke for the guard check with like the crit. So that's why he's here. That's to extend your kill turn, makes your kill turn better as well. So overall, just a pretty good card. So yeah. And the only issue with playing this is that you don't. Gwyn doesn't soul charge. Sometimes you just need more soul. But because of this specifically, but I do think this deck needs the Gwyns for its kill turn sometimes if they want to kill us down, or you just want a stronger kill turn to get an extra guard check in. So that's personally why I have to play this. You can definitely fiddle around the ratios here or play some other cards here, but I personally think Gwyn is pretty important for this deck, at least in my opinion. And onwards are grade 3s or the triggers, heal guards, Chariot, because Chariot helps you not deck out. I personally play draw because I hate damage checking crits and stands, or whatever trigger you might want to play this on. I think heal guards are still important, so I don't want to put this on my heal. I personally hate damage checking crits and stands, and I also don't think this deck draws enough to facilitate playing split triggers to begin with, so that's personally why I leave this on draw. I personally have not ran into any deco issues myself for this deck. Sometimes you're like really close to it, but as long as you're holding the Chariots in hand, you shouldn't run into that issue. But Chariot skill is it gets plus 2k per copy if it's self in soul, and then you have 3 or more gets a crit. But the relevant skill is the other skill where it says Van Rear on place a copy of this, the grade 2 carriage and the grade 1 bike to deck. So you put like a trigger and 2 blanks back into the deck to prevent deck out. So mainly here just for that. Next up, we have our main ride, the Scharhrot Vampire. So skill is GB2 if you have 6 or more soul, plus 10k if you have 10 or more, plus additional crit. But his main relevant skill here is the when your G unit strides on top of it, you can soul charge 2. Then he gains the following ability at the end of your turn. Let me actually pull this. I do not remember the exact wording on this card. Let me pull this up real quick. And if you're wondering how I have 4 of this card as SP, there was some bug on rank that just gave you everyone basically a playset of this card for free, an SP at least. So yeah. But the skill here is at the end of the battle, this unit attacks the Vanguard. If you have 6 or more soul, choose one of your opponent's rear cards with prio to back row at random to retire it. Then if your soul has 10 or more cards, choose 2. You choose 2 cards and drop from random, put them back to the deck. So you soul charge 2, and then you get maybe back row retire, and then if you have 10 or more, you can choose. You can put 2 cards back into your deck. So you basically you got the 2 soul off of his skill, but you didn't take 2 cards out of your deck to maintain deck count. So that's pretty good there. He's his own pseudo deck of prevention mechanics. That's pretty nice. And then on ride plus 3k. And then the last card we're playing is one of this dude. He's just the one of, but his skill is GB1 at the end of your turn. If your soul has 6 or more cards, put a card with the darkness ability from your hand or rear to your soul to draw a card. If your soul has 60 or more, then CC1, and then choose on your opponent's rear cards to retire. This skill is irrelevant. You never ride it. This is the Vanguard only skill. You won't be striding anyways. Just there, but if you play it for this skill, Vanguard rear on play CB1, check top 5, and then you would choose as many cards with the darkness ability as you find from among them to put them into your soul, and then plus 1k per card you put into your soul. So pretty nice there. And just to fill one of, we can fill soul pretty well, which is pretty nice. If this deck didn't have to play Chariot, I think this card would definitely be a 4 of as the extra filler because the second skill is pretty nice. But because Chariot is kind of needed to run a deck out, you only have space to play one of it. Scharhrot's your main ride. So yeah. And that's it for the main deck. G-Zone. This is the part where the deck gets expensive for no reasons because I think this deck actually needs 4 Guild Arrays for this guy to actually function. His skill is GB2. On this unit attacks the Vanguard, you can G-Flip. Hence why you need 4 of it because you want to use it twice. G-Flip to get a crit if your soul has 10 or more cards, plus 10k if your soul has 13 or more cards, you get the glory effect. You get the glory guard trick. So honestly, this card is not actually that impressive, but because DI's G-Zone is just kind of lacking right now, this card is kind of your best place. Therefore, you need to play 4 of it because you can use it to push, you can use it as a game ender, you can use it to do glory checks and cool stuff like that. So yeah, I think this card is just the best like generic card to play in your G-Zone. It pushes, it kills, it's free cost-wise, more or less. It's just a G-Flip. So all of those things combined just makes it, in my opinion, the best just the best generic card to have that you can go into every single time you can just go into when you want to. You don't know what else to go into in your G-Zone. So yeah, very good card here. And then next up we have the Scharhrot Stride. His skill is GB2 and this unit attacks the Vanguard. CB1, flip anything. Ideally you G-Flip because you want to unflip, but you just could flip anything, so you technically could get away with 1 to gain 10k power. Then if your soul has 10 or more cards, you CC1 per copy of itself you have face up in your G-Zone. And then GB2, Darkness, if you have 13 or more cards in soul, he also gets the glory restrict. Oh yeah, and I also forgot you also have to suck in both your front row rears. So you lose both your intercepts when you do this, but this is how you do the cool interaction with the starter. You go combo, just say they have double intercept and you don't have to win. You go rear to rear, rear to rear, and then rear to rear, rear to rear, and then you use the starter to pull stuff out to call stuff into one of those open slots. You swing with the starter, Van swings, and then use Van's skill to suck the starter and with the other rear back into soul. And then after the Van attacks, you can call the starter back out to get a 5th attack in. So that's a little cool interaction that has, and that's usually your end game playing your opponents at 5. So yeah, so although this card makes you lose both your intercepts, it is still needed because it's still your finisher. Next up we have the Kiss Kill Lyra. Her skill is when this attack hits a Vanguard, you can soul charge 2. Then if your soul has 6 or more cards, draw 1. If your soul has 10 or more cards, draw an additional 1. So this is your go-to first strike because you just draw a bunch of cards with it, and that's very nice. Soul charges 2 as well to help you fulfill your soul requirements and all that good stuff. So definitely your best first try. Usually only go into it once because if you go into any more than that, you actually are just taking too many cards out of your deck. Soul charge 2, draw 1, draw 2, which is too much. So usually you stride in this card once and that's it. And finally we have this dude, the Ericus. So his skill is when this unit attacks Darkness. This unit attacks the Vanguards, you may soul charge 2, and then you gain the following 2 abilities. On hit to Van, or on hit if your soul has 6 or more cards, random retire 1 with Proud to back row, and then if there's 10 or more, this unit gets plus 1k per card in your soul. So this card is here. I've never actually gone into it. I don't ever see a reason to go into this card, but it's here. It's extra back row retire, which is cool, I guess. And last off the harmonics. Yeah. So that's it for the deck profile. Again, I don't think this deck's particularly good. I also think this deck is super expensive for no reason. But it's there. I'm sure there are a lot of DI fans out there that want to try this deck. So tell me what you guys think about this deck down in the comments. Awesome games for you guys as per usual. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.